I lived in constant fear that he'd do the same to me. But he couldn't, because my mother left all her wealth in my name. Soon after, he married a gold digger and brought her home, along with her cruel daughter. From the very beginning, my stepmother and stepsister hated me. She made me wash her filthy clothes, scrub floors until my fingers bled, and starve for days. While her daughter lived the royal life that should have been mine, she wanted her daughter to wear the crown. So one day, my stepmother dragged me to the riverbank and shoved me into waters crawling with deadly alligators. The snap of jaws tore into my flesh, scarring my face forever. She thought I'd be ripped apart and forgotten. But to her utter shock, I survived. Bleeding, shaking, half alive. I ran to my father, but my cruel stepmother caught me and locked me in the attic. My father handed me the mask to hide my scars, while she told the entire town that just looking at me could bring death. 5 long years passed inside those haunted walls, with only silence, shadows, and that mask for company.
Get up. You're expected to make a public appearance tonight.
But why?
Because I have found someone who's actually willing to marry my cursed daughter.
There it was. She was still, and would always be, Desmond's cursed daughter. Alessandra stood in front of the mirror, adjusting her mask. It had been 5 long years, and now she was expected to step out into the world again. As she walked downstairs, something felt off. The house was cold. The whispers were louder than before.
Is she really coming down like that? Does she think the mask will hide what's under it?
Don't look at her too long. The curse is real.
They all thought she was cursed, a monster. But wasn't it enough? She forced herself forward, her hand gripping the doorframe. She didn't need their pity. She didn't need their fear. But she could feel it, all around her. The curse, the mask, everything she had lost. It was all coming for her again. Alessandra stood outside the study. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the voices were too close.
We have to make her presentable. William Lancaster will be here soon.
Presentable? She's a curse. No man would marry her if it weren't for the money.
Still, she's useful. She'll bring in a dowry. As long as we can keep the lie going.
What lie? That she's not the reason everything went to hell? She's damaged, Desmond. And you want to marry her into high society?
At least Alessandra's marriage will be an investment.
Alessandra's breath caught in her throat. Investment. That's all she was to them.
But once this is over, we'll be rid of her.
Rid of her? The words stung like ice.
Yes. She'll just be another piece of his collection.
His collection? What does that mean? Alessandra wanted to step forward and confront them, but she didn't. Not yet. They didn't care. They never had. Suddenly, she took a wrong step, and a board under her feet made a loud creaking sound.
Who is it?
But when they opened the door, they found no one out there. Alessandra had already made her escape. Alessandra paced her room, her mind racing. What was going to happen? Was her life in danger? Her family kept plotting, scheming. But who was William Lancaster? I won't let them dictate my life. She needed answers, and there was one person in the entire castle who might hold the truth. Mario, the cook, the only friend from her forgotten past who had never betrayed her. Mario? Who is William Lancaster?
You don't want to know about him, Miss Alessandra.
I do. I need to know.
He's a wealthy merchant. Comes around now and then, makes deals with your father. But he's more than just business. There's been talk, whispers. Girls disappearing from town, disappearing without a trace. Something Lancaster's involved, though no one dares say it aloud.
Alessandra's blood ran cold. Why doesn't anyone say anything?
They're afraid. Afraid of him and your father. Well, he's in debt to Lancaster. Doesn't want to make waves.
Alessandra couldn't believe it. Her own father was trading her to a monster to erase his debts. Her stepmother had stolen her childhood. Now he was set to destroy her future. She rushed out of the kitchen, mind racing, desperate to escape. But she didn't know. Kate, the stepsister who once humiliated and tormented her, was coming back home. And Alessandra's nightmare was far from over. The next night, Katrina was bustling around the dining table.
Tonight is a special night. Kate's back, and we're going to celebrate her future. Here she is now.
Kate walked into the room, her presence filling the space like a storm.
It's so good to be home. And look, you're still here, hiding behind that ridiculous mask. How's the curse, Alessandra? Still making everyone who looks at you drop dead? You should be grateful Father hasn't locked you away again. Maybe you should be thankful for the mercy he's shown you. Kate, darling, don't be so harsh. You know we've all had to make sacrifices. Sacrifices? Please! I'm about to marry a duke. No more sacrifices for me. Maybe you should learn from me. Get yourself a rich husband, even if you have to marry a stranger. I hear it's good for business. And if you ask me, that's all you are. A business deal.
Alessandra clenched her fists under the table, her skin prickling. And then she could feel the weight of her father's eyes on her, judging her like a product.
Kate's right. A marriage to a duke will set us up for life.
Well, he'll be at the party. You can all then call me the future Duchess Collins.
The Duke. She had heard his name before. Everyone had. He was the most eligible bachelor in town.
And who knows, if Father gets really desperate, he can always marry you off to William Lancaster.
William Lancaster, the same one who was rumored to be tied to the disappearances. Alessandra knew if she didn't act now, Kate and her father would force her into marriage with William Lancaster. Her chest tightened. She could barely breathe. That night, she slipped out of the castle, alone and almost too late. She didn't care that it was forbidden to go out. She needed freedom. She didn't expect to run into anyone. At least not him.
Lost, lady?
Alessandra froze. She turned sharply to find a tall figure standing just out of reach of the shadows. His face half hidden, but his eyes gleaming with a mischievous light. She couldn't make out all his features, but he had a presence. Strong, commanding. I'm not lost. Just taking a walk.
A midnight stroll? Not afraid of being seen, then?
I don't see why I should be.
Not everyone agrees. I've heard interesting things about you.
Alessandra stiffened. What did he mean by that? And what have you heard?
I hear you've been cursed. That just looking at you brings misfortune.
Her heart sank. Not this again. I don't believe in curses.
But that doesn't stop others from believing. I've heard some say that just one glance at you is enough to doom a man.
Alessandra felt a familiar burn of anger rise in her chest. She turned on her heel, starting to walk away.
Running off so soon? Afraid I might be right.
She didn't look back. You don't know anything about me.
I think we both know that's true. But perhaps we're not so different after all, are we?
Alessandra hurried into the shadows, desperate to escape this encounter. But his words lingered, gnawing at her. This man had no idea what she had endured over the years. And worse, no one but Alessandra knew how she really got her scars. At midnight, back in bed, Alessandra awoke with her heart racing. She could hear the faint creak of the floorboards. 2 sets of footsteps. Slowly, her eyes cracked open. She could see the shadowy outline of her father next to William Lancaster.
She's still asleep. You may have a look. I trust you'll be pleased with what you see.
A jolt of panic surged through Alessandra. She wanted to move, to jump up and demand to know what was happening. But she couldn't. Not yet. She squeezed her eyes shut tightly, hoping they'd think her asleep, hoping the darkness would conceal her fear. From the corner of her eye, she saw William Lancaster take a step forward, his gaze intense.
She's quite a sight. It's hard to believe this is the same girl the town whispers about. A cursed daughter.
Alessandra could hear her pulse pounding in her ears.
Doesn't matter what they say. It's her future that concerns me now. Interesting. It seems the rumors were not as exaggerated as I'd hoped.
The words stung, but Alessandra kept her face still, praying they didn't notice the way her heart was racing beneath her ribs. She could hear the quiet shuffle of feet, but dared not move. Her father had finally turned to leave, but she wasn't sure if Lancaster was following. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she heard the door creak open and the men walk away. Alessandra curled up, nauseous at the memory of Lancaster's presence. But now, Alessandra was more certain than ever that William Lancaster was dangerous. Alessandra slipped into the bathroom. In the mirror, she stared at the scars across her face, a constant reminder of the pain she'd endured. Later that night, Alessandra tossed and turned. Her dreams were haunting. She dreamed of a python, no, a basilisk, lying in wait in her bedroom, ready to attack. In her dream, she thought showing her face would ward off the monster. But she should have known, some monsters cannot be killed. One thing was for sure, Alessandra needed to watch her back. The next evening, the house buzzed with anticipation. A grand party had been arranged to celebrate Kate's engagement. Kate, ever the center of attention, swept into the room with her usual flair.
Guess what? My fiancé, the Duke, is coming to the party tonight.
Alessandra didn't react. She was used to Kate's bragging by now. The thought of having to smile and pretend to be happy for her sister made Alessandra's stomach turn. But she held her tongue. The last thing she wanted was to give Kate the satisfaction of a reaction.
Yes, I've heard. Quite the match, isn't it? But there's someone else I want you to be prepared for. William Lancaster will be there too. He's been asking to meet you, Alessandra.
The words hit her like a slap. Her stomach dropped. Lancaster, again. Why would he want to meet me?
Don't question it, child. Lancaster is a man of influence. You do well to make a good impression.
Alessandra bit her lip in frustration. She was well aware of the power Lancaster held. She'd learned enough to know he wasn't someone to take lightly. And the thought of him wanting to meet her, it was unsettling to say the least. Kate, of course, couldn't resist adding her own venom to the conversation.
Maybe he's heard about your curse, Alessandra. He'll certainly enjoy meeting the famous murderer's daughter.
Alessandra's hands tightened into fists.
I expect you to be on your best behavior tonight, Alessandra. Remember, you're still a part of this family. You will act like it.
The night felt darker than before, and the weight of her family's expectations, their plans, and their whispers settled heavily on her shoulders. She wasn't sure if she could endure another evening surrounded by them, and now A dangerous man was about to join the fray. But one thing was certain. No matter what happened, she couldn't afford to be vulnerable. Not with Lancaster. Not with any of them. She had to be careful. Her life might just be on the line. The evening of the party had arrived. The house was alive with the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and the rustling of expensive fabrics. At the center of the buzz was none other than Duke Edgar Collins, the man of the hour. Mothers were practically throwing their daughters at him, as if he were some prize to be claimed.
He's everything you could want in a match. We all know the Duke is an excellent choice. Such wealth, such power. And the bloodline, his family name. My dear Lucille would be perfect for him.
Alessandra could hardly believe her ears. The competition among the women in the room was palpable. Her gaze found Kate across the room. She was determined to marry the Duke, no matter what. But then, he walked in. Alessandra recognized those eyes. The stranger she had met outside the castle just days ago was him, the Duke, Edgar Collins. For a moment, everything in the room seemed to fade away. The sounds, the laughter, the murmurs. Nothing mattered except for the man who had captured her attention so easily, so unexpectedly. The same man who had playfully teased her about being cursed. But this time, it wasn't a random encounter. This was real. This was the man who Kate had been bragging about. Little did she know, William Lancaster, the man suspected of abducting the town's missing women, had arrived. He'd made a deal with her father, and with Kate's help, Alessandra's abduction was already in motion. Back at the party, Alessandra gripped her drink tighter, the one her sister Kate had put in her hand. Was something wrong with her drink? Her vision blurred.
You look lovely tonight.
Alessandra frowned. Something was off. She tasted something bitter on her tongue. Kate had poisoned her drink. The world spun. Her legs buckled. The room was closing in. Alessandra stumbled toward the bathroom, her heart pounding. She gripped the doorway, her vision hazy, her breath shallow.
Are you all right? You're poisoned. Where's the nearest exit?
Closet. He didn't hesitate. He swept her up, carrying her swiftly through the crowd.
Where the hell do you two think you're going?
The door to the closet clicked shut behind them. He set her down, gently.
You're going to be fine. Just breathe.
Alessandra's pulse raced, but not from the poison anymore. His face was too close. Her breath caught. His eyes locked onto hers. For a heartbeat, everything else faded. She leaned in, unable to stop herself. Then, the door creaked open.
Edgar! Where are you?
They jerked apart. The moment shattered.
Go. I'll cover for you.
She barely nodded, reeling from the encounter. She stepped out of the closet and saw the smug Kate.
Alessandra, there you are. I was starting to worry. We wouldn't want to make a scene, would we?
Alessandra's stomach churned. But would she really continue to live her life afraid of her stepsister? You were hoping to embarrass me.
Oh, don't flatter yourself. I'm just concerned.
Alessandra felt a flicker of anger. Kate would never be concerned about her. Alessandra knew her true colors from all those years ago. But suddenly, Duke Edgar stepped forward, between the two sisters.
Is something going on here?
Of course not, Edgar. Now let's you and I get back to the party.
Alessandra's eyes darted between Kate and the Duke. William Lancaster, the man they called the Collector, was watching her with a sinister glint. A chill ran down her spine. Was he here to abduct her? This was her last chance. Before William could make his next move, Alessandra looked to the Duke, her only escape from the nightmare her family built around her. I need your help. My family they're out to get me. I don't know what they'll do next, but I can't stay here. I can't be part of this anymore. You have no idea the things they've brought upon me over the years.
What do you want me to do?
She looked him in the eye, her voice steady. Marry me.
What?
To listen to the full audio series, install the Pocket FM app now.
Pocket FM. Download the app now.